Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Wesley Hunt just drops the hammer on Jasmine Crockett to the point that she might completely reconsider her career in politics. Let's dive in.
Now, ICE is trying to work with the IRS because we actually take in billions of dollars because of immigrants in this country, and now they're going to try to get them out. And I'm going to tell you that the biggest issue that we have, I really don't think this should be a partisan issue, so I'm going to agree with my Republican colleagues. I think that we all should want to be safe in our communities. The problem that we have is that we have an incompetent administration, that everything that they touch turns to shit. Because what they do is they take a wide sweeping brush and they have decided that the enemy is now going to be immigrants instead of taking a scalpel. That's all we're asking, is to be exact in what you're doing instead of taking a sledgehammer to everything. Thank you, and I will yield.
Since the Democrats do not like the result of the election, you would think that they will be focusing on the midterms coming up, but instead they are engaging in a judicial coup d'etat. The reason they are not focused on the midterms is because they are not confident that they can take back control of the House of Representatives in 2 years because they have no leader and they have no valid message. The Democrat Party has a 21% approval rating with voters in this country. And why? Because their only message is Trump is bad. They've gone so far as to attack people for driving electric vehicles. They openly admit that they are DEI hires, and they claim that the reason they're not popular with voters right now is because they are not opposing Trump enough. That's the reaction to their failure. Their solution is to become more extreme and more unpopular with their policies. This question must be asked: does the Democrat Party hate President Trump more than they love our country and more than they love the safety of my fellow Americans? This might explain why they are willing to overtly defend members of Trinidad MS-13 rather than stand up and clap for a child with a terminal brain cancer illness, or for a young man admitted to West Point, my alma mater, or for a family of the gentleman who was murdered in Butler, Pennsylvania. Trump derangement syndrome is real. It's a real thing. And sanctuary policies are harming my fellow Americans, as my witnesses have testified here today. This U.S. congressman is tired of seeing mothers, daughters, and wives of Americans raped, maimed, and murdered by Trinidad and MS-13 and other violent criminals that have snuck across the border to destroy this great nation. All of us should support ICE raids, the hard work of Tom Homan, Customs and Border Protection, and the policies of our duly elected Commander-in-Chief. Ms. Carter-Walters, thank you for being here, ma'am. I really appreciate your testimony earlier. In your experience, specifically in Chicago, are communities of colors disproportionately impacted by illegal migrants getting special privileges? And if so, how?
Yes, so they are placed in our communities. They are not placed anywhere else but in our communities. And they are taking over our schools. So whereas you already had overcrowded schooling, so you might have 20 to 1 class. Now you have 40 to 1 class, and then they don't speak English. So now that's taken away from the child already who is already in an overcrowded classroom. And then you have where now we can't even, they took over our parks. So where you'll have grandmoms and things, kids, to keep the kids off the street, they house illegals into the field houses. So they took over our field houses. And then now apartments, whereas because our mayor is paying so much money for illegals to house them, now we have tenants that can't even, the landlords that won't even rent to American citizens because they're renting to illegals because they get paid more for illegals.
Now, let me ask you the next question, ma'am. You've been black for a pretty long time, right?
Yes.
So me too. I mean, I've been black for my entire life, so just want to acknowledge that. So by basically what you're saying, do you view yourself as a different American, or do you just care about the safety of our community? Are you a racist for feeling this way?
No.
Thank you very much.
The Democrat Party just can't stop picking the wrong side of an 80-20 issue. The majority of Americans want to send illegal immigrants back home because they are illegal. Okay? It is that simple. When you come in without being vetted, when you have crossed a border illegally, and when you try to circumvent a system all to benefit yourself, we got a couple of questions we got to ask. This is the reason that we have a TSA in our airports, but we can't have it at the border? It's insane. The Democrat Party has chosen, for some insipid reason, to choose the wrong side of an 80-20 issue. And you know what? I think I know why. The reason is rich white liberals who don't actually live in the cities, because I'll just use Atlanta as an example. There are a handful of neighborhoods in northern Atlanta above Interstate 20, but inside the perimeter, that is 285 and in Interstate 20. And they live in these essentially almost gated communities. They live away from all the other people that want to call Atlanta their home. And they won't acknowledge the fact that there is a clear racial and there is a clear monetary and clear class distinction and divide in their own party. This is why Marxists are actually able to do so well in our education system. Because they're smart enough to point out that, hey, there's a clear divide here. They're not smart enough to actually point out the problem. That is, these rich white liberals are catered to constantly. And I am not a Marxist. No, absolutely not. Pinochet is my co-pilot here. But the reality is, there is a good way to understand the world and understand politics through a Marxist lens, and you can use it properly. It's got to be wielded correctly. And so to understand it, you need to understand that rich white liberals have been catered to for the majority of their lives. They don't understand what the world is like outside of their gated communities. They live in their ivory towers, and they wonder why so many people in the cities are now turning against them. We got to do a little bit of a historical dive here, so let's start off with this premise. After the Summer of Love in 2020, minority voters, particularly black and Hispanic voters, started to take a good hard look at the Democrat policies that were being passed. They constantly heard defund the police, and they went along with it very briefly. But it only took about a year for them to realize, oh, these policies don't make any sense. These policies make it worse for us to live inside of these towns, inside of these cities. And then the Democrats doubled down again because they started putting illegal migrants inside of these Democrat-run cities. They abused humanitarian processes and resources and 501c3 charity organizations and put them up in hotels across the cities of the United States. And guess what that started to do to the local population? That's why Mrs. Carter Walters here has an organization called Chicago Flips Red. They're tired of it. They're tired of bad Democrat policies. They're tired of the nonsense because they saw the defund the police movement, realized, this isn't good. This is actually hurting us. Can you please stop? And so the Democrats quietly pushed that out the back door. But then they started shipping in and busing in illegal immigrants to quite literally replace the population. For some insipid reason, there is this theory that we need to replace our population. And that's because, and there's a lot of boomers that watch this channel, and this is all that I mean by this. Social Security and Medicare are a problem for the net taxpayer. That's just a sad reality, and I'm only saying it in this way. There are more boomers than there are Gen X. Okay, millennials and boomers have about the same population rate. Gen Z, I think they're actually smaller population-wise than the millennials and the boomers. We have a population decline, and this is happening across the world. We're seeing it in South Korea. We're seeing it in Japan. We're seeing it in China. By the way, again, Marxist policies, the one-child policy under Mao, yeah, that did not work out too well for them. And now Russia is under a similar problem. This is a big reason why the world seems like it's just sliding further and further into chaos. Because we've realized that, we kind of need more people on this planet, not less. And Democrats can't admit that out loud because rich white liberals don't want to hear that. They feel terrible about the fact that they're rich, they're white, when the reality is they should just feel bad about being liberal. And so they will pass on these policies. They think it's a good idea to constantly flood our cities with illegal migrants that have not been vetted. We don't know why they're here. We don't know the real reason that they come here. And now more information keeps on getting leaked that, as it turns out, Venezuela opened their prisons and told their people to come to the United States. And I will remind you of her name again. Her name is Laken Riley. The man that slew her was an illegal, violent migrant who was let out of Venezuela's prisons and came here to the United States and abused our system and took a life that should never have been taken. No wonder there are so many people leaving the Democrat Party. No wonder both Latino and black voters have realized that the Democrat Party does not represent them because rich white liberals have lost their minds. I think Reagan said it best, that liberals just know so much that isn't so. And we're seeing it time and time and time again, and people across the nation are jumping on the Trump bandwagon because this has been a central issue. We must get in control of this illegal immigrant problem. We're starting to do great work down at the border. We're past the first 100 days, and border crossings are down like 95%. But this is just a start. And we're starting to see the deportations, and the Democrats are fighting even that. This is insane clown politics. And the Democrats aren't just complicit, they know that they don't have a choice. Because if they dare call out the nonsense, that means that they've admitted that they are culpable, they've admitted responsibility, they've admitted that they have allowed this to happen to the American people, and they'll pay the price. So they deny, deflect, and are deranged to the point where they are denying reality. And that's what Jasmine Crockett is doing. Wesley Hunt calls her out properly for this. And Miss Carter Walters is doing a fantastic job. Love her organization. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. My name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Till then, y'all have a good one.